So you want to go from skinny to jacked. Maybe lose a little bit of belly fat or fit better in a shirt. Look like you actually go to the gym. Well, I have some good news for you, buddy. Getting jacked is actually way easier than you think. And in this video, I'm going to use science to explain how and answer all of the most asked questions on the internet. My name is Hassan. I'm a medical student. And for the last 5 years, I've been obsessed with one simple question. How can I build muscles effectively with least amount of input? So in this video, we are going to talk about how little do you actually need to train? Do you need to train to failure at all? How much protein do you actually need? By the end, you're basically going to know more than 90% of people. Let's start with the biggest question. How much do you actually need to train? So imagine that there's two versions of you. One guy who goes to the gym every single day and trains 6 times a week. He has a spreadsheet. He has a custom workout. He takes pre-workout. He takes every supplement under the sun. And then there is another guy. There's a guy who goes to the gym a couple times a week. He does a few hard sets and then dip. Well, the annoying thing is that the guy who's doing less sets is probably getting the same results or results that are similar to yours. The reason for that is that muscle growth has something called diminishing returns. The easiest way to understand what diminishing returns mean is that your first few sets are incredibly valuable. And then every extra set gives you a little bit less, then a little bit less, and then a little bit less. So there's a big review that combined 15 studies looking at exactly this. More sets in general mean more muscle. But the important part is how much more. Once you're already doing a reasonable amount of training, every additional weekly set gives you roughly another 0.37% of muscle growth, which sounds nice until you realize what that actually means. You're spending 20, 30, 40 minutes in the gym for gains you would need a microscope to actually appreciate. So unless your goal is to become a bodybuilder, this is not time efficient. It's actually not productive. And if you're trying to maximize the amount of gains you get from the amount of time you put in, it's not optimal. Think of it like studying for an exam, right? Getting from 0% to 80% might take you a few hours, but getting from 80% to 95% and even to 100% will take you a lot more. And I'm speaking from experience because it's something that I'm dealing with every single day. Before I got into medical school, I would spend an enormous amount of time studying because I knew that what it takes to become great. But the funny thing is that when it comes to physique and bodybuilding, you don't have to do that much to stand out. So why are you doing more than necessary if you're not trying to become a bodybuilder? If you just want to be healthy and have a decent and good physique. So according to the studies that I've been reading, you need 10 sets per muscle per week to actually get the most benefits. But the interesting part is that you don't even need to start at 10 sets per muscle per week. You're just starting out. Even something like 5 good sets per muscle per week can take you surprisingly far. And there's even a more crazy example where researchers took guys who were already training and put them on a workout where they basically did 1 set per exercise. So their workout lasted about 13 minutes. 13 minutes. I don't know about you, but to me that it doesn't even feel like a workout. 13 minutes? Are you kidding me? That's the time it takes me to put on my shoes when I want to work out. The fascinating thing is that they still build muscle and got stronger. The point is that the difference between doing enough and doing everything perfectly is way smaller than people think, especially if you are new. If you've never trained properly before, your body basically sitting there begging you to give it a reason to grow. You don't need Arnold's routine. You need a few good exercises, a few hard sets, 2 or 3 times a week, and then go home. Because the next thing people get wrong is thinking that those sets have to absolutely destroy you. You need to train to failure, but what does that even mean? According to science, you should train until you have 1 to 3 reps left. And that actually means that you stop when you literally can do 1 more rep and that's it. That is known as having some reps in reserve. So you could say that having 1 rep or 2 to 3 reps in reserve is a good point to stop. Now, obviously, there are a lot more like mental reasons why you should go to absolute failures, which is something that I love to do. But if you're trying to do it like the most scientific way, right, and maximize the amount of gains you get from the time that you put in, you could do a set where you have 1 to 3 reps in reserve. That wouldn't be wrong according to science. But why not just go all the way there and take it to failure? You shouldn't do that on every single set, but from time to time, push it to the limit. I don't see any reason why to not do it. If you're doing the technique right, just go there, man. All right, so next question becomes, how heavy do you actually need to lift? Because when most people imagine building muscles, they think about heavy weights, 5 reps, veins everywhere, possibly nose bleeding. But the truth is actually way more simple than that. According to science, you can build muscles doing 6 reps, 10 reps, 15 reps, even 20 or 30 reps. Your muscles basically care about one thing only, and was this hard enough? But there's actually a very important distinction, because if your goal is to get really, really strong, and lifting heavier weights is generally better, because strength is partially a skill. If you want to get good at lifting heavy things, you need to practice lifting heavy things. But if your goal is mostly, I just want to look jacked and be aesthetically pleasing, whatever that means to you, you don't need to ego lift. Pick a weight that you can control. Do enough reps that the end of that set becomes genuinely difficult. That's it. And this is actually great news because now your workout doesn't have to revolve around some specific magical rep range. Now let's talk about the perfect workout split, which is something that doesn't exist. People love talking about workout splits. Push, pull legs, upper, lower, bro split, full body, Arnold split. But at some point, we're just making calendars. So what does the research have to say about this? Well, a review looked at 25 studies comparing different training frequencies. And when the total number of weekly sets was roughly the same, training a muscle more frequently did not meaningfully increase muscle growth. So if you do 10 sets of chest in one session or split those 10 sets across 2 or 3 sessions, you can still grow. Personally, I like to spread things out because doing 10 chest sets in one workout is just something, that I don't like to do. But if we are looking at it from a physiology point of view, your muscles don't care about your workout split. So the best split is basically the one you can consistently follow. If you are loving going to the gym 5 times a week, great. Just keep doing that. But if you've got school, if you gotta work, if you have kids, you can still make progress. Train 2 or 3 times a week. Do enough hard work and go home. Now let's talk about protein, because you probably need less protein than you actually think. If you spend any time in fitness, you've heard this rule: 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. One of the biggest reviews on this topic compound 49 studies with almost 2,000 people, and they found that the benefits of protein seem to level off at around 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. There are some uncertainties around the number, but going up to around 2.2 grams per kilo can make sense if you want to be very safe. We are not talking 4 grams per kilogram. We're not talking about living off protein shakes. For a normal 80 kilo person, 1.6 grams per kilo is around 128 grams of protein per day. That's it. And you can get that through completely normal food: eggs, chicken, meat, fish, milk level. Even a plant-based diet can help you achieve that protein level. And yes, protein powder is completely fine. I use it as well. So that's it. In this video, I tried to answer some of the most common questions in fitness when it comes to getting jacked. It's actually way more simple than you think. I would say, number 1, lift weights, a handful of hard sets per muscle every week. Number 2, get reasonably close to failure. You don't have to die, just make it difficult. Number 3, eat enough protein. And obviously, remember to sleep. That's it. Don't quit, stay consistent, and you will see great results.